Today we're going to talk about the situation in Afghanistan, and it's an absolute nightmare for not only Americans but the rest of the world, because Afghanistan geographically is directly on the western border of China. In this video, I'm going to show you what you're not seeing on medias and social medias, and we're going to talk about what's not being shown. This isn't stuff that you're going to see on mainstream media because it's a complete disaster. For example, the entire administration, the Biden administration, looks like newbies on the block. And our president often boasts about how long he's been in politics and government of nearly 50 years, starting in Senate in 1972. At one point, the Biden administration, including Joe Biden himself, turned his back on media and went back to Camp David, while U.S. citizens and military were still on the ground in Afghanistan. And I was talking to my friend personally who was there in Afghanistan during this situation late last week, early this week, telling me exactly what was going on. Firsthand experience. Biden did go on to say that his people and himself, his cabinet, took full responsibility for the situation and that they planned for this situation. However, things moved along a lot faster than they expected. No kidding, Joe Biden. This is entry-level leadership things where you take responsibility for your actions. And honestly, I would expect better from someone who has nearly 50 years of experience as a politician. America and our middle class is going through a world of hurt, and we'll go through a world of hurt. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean when it comes to this. So with that said, please hit the like button. What that does is tells the rest of YouTube and everybody else that needs to hear this by serving this video to everyone else. So hit the like button, help make a difference, and let's get started. I think it's important to understand first and foremost that China's been around for over 4,000 years, and there's written records of this. America, the United States of America, has been around as a nation for about 245 years, which is a blip on the radar. So the point is, we're the new kids on the block. China's not. 40 years ago, China was arguably a third world country. More people owned bicycles than they did cars. And they have been making serious moves in the world since. And when I say they, I mean China. Our military bases in Afghanistan are the closest to China's Western Front. And China did not like that, or the fact that we are involved in Afghanistan as a whole because of their interest there. And when I say their, I mean China. I'm going to read you an article that I found on apnews.com. And before I read off, I would just like to state that I'm probably going to butcher the names of not only the Chinese, but also the Afghanistan individuals, and just don't mind my butchering. China's foreign minister met Wednesday with a delegation of high-level Taliban officials as ties between them warm ahead of U.S. pullout of Afghanistan. A photo posted on the minister's website showed Wang Yi posting with senior Taliban leader Mullah Abdul and his delegation in the city of Taizhin, then sitting down to talk. Wang said China respects Afghanistan's sovereign independence and territorial integrity affairs. He said the hasty withdrawal of the U.S. and NATO reveals the failure of America's policies and offers the Afghan people an important opportunity to stabilize and develop their own country. China and Afghanistan share a narrow border high in the remote Wakhan Valley, and China has long been concerned about the possible spillover of Islamic military personnel into its formerly violent Xin region. China has also signed deals for oil, gas, and copper mining in Afghanistan. Quote, the Taliban are a pivotal military and political force in Afghanistan and are expected to play an important role in the process of peace, reconciliation, and reconstruction, Wang said. The U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan by August 31st is seen as a boon to China, Washington's chief strategic competitor, which has long resented the presence of U.S. troops in what is considered their own backyard. If the Taliban is to topple the US-backed central government, China could gain a strategic corridor, allowing it and longtime ally Pakistan to bring further pressure against common rival India. Also, it's important to know that China owns $2 billion or 200,000 acres of agricultural land in America. China has been making moves and continues to make moves as they are now the world superpower. We, America, are no longer and just the new kids on the block. Now the question is, all right, the real question is, how does this relate to the middle class outside of the joke of a situation we've been watching on major media? This is what I see. I see a two-tiered society coming, rich and poor. Okay, driven by division, which is very popular in our society right now. Our administration wants us to depend on them for money, housing, medicine, jobs, and so on. The question is why? Why are they trying to control us? To line their pockets full of money. Do you need proof? Well, I'm going to offer you some proof. Let's just take a look at Bill Clinton, a former president. When he entered office, he was worth $1.3 million. When he exited office, he was worth $200 million from his investments. Obama, similar, $1.3 million. When he exited, he's worth $70 million. Guys, feel free to Google this. This is public information. Now, and I'm going to talk about Trump here for a second. And before we go on the anti-Trump or pro-Trump train, I'm merely using him as an example. He's not the answer. This is an example. When President Trump took office, he was worth $3 billion. When he left office, he was worth $2.3 billion, losing $700 million in his presidency. Biden, going into office, was worth $8 million. And less than a year later, he's up to $9 million, and he's just getting started. Politicians line their pockets full of money off their investments in what's going on, not caring about us as the middle class or upper middle class or poor or lower middle class. They care about lining their pockets. Most outside of Trump. Trump lost money because you couldn't buy him. Being bought, you're easily put on display, which is what we're watching right now. 3 years from now, going off the track record of the prior Democrats of 10xing and 20xing and 50xing their net worth, where do you think Biden's going to be? I think in the next 6 months specifically, we will know what direction we are headed in. And the way that I see it is that there is only more division being created. Black, white, medicine, no medicine, Republican, liberal, this, that, everything else. And the division and the fear that controls the division will create the dependency that specifically what was once the middle class will just become poor, depending on the government for everything that we've been talking about. The next 3 to 5 years, I believe, is the time frame to go and take independency when it comes to health, when it comes to housing, when it comes to wealth. This is the time that we can create independence from the government personally. However, outside of personally, this is the point where we as Americans need to stand together, set aside our differences, and push for good rather than division. You need to speak up. I believe in freedom, and I believe in freedom of choice. I've bled for this country, and I believe freedom will prevail if we stand together. I want you to smash that like button and get this message out to as many people as possible. Let's stand together, and I'll catch you next week.